Since I returned my 2022 MacBook Air, I no longer have Final Cut Pro and had to look at other video editing options. In this video, we're going to look at the options that I considered and which one I ultimately decided to choose. I used to edit my videos on my 2015 MacBook Pro, but it has been getting slower and slower every single year. Since this spur of uploaded videos, the last video I uploaded was about a year ago. And so for me, I was editing on my 2015 MacBook Pro, which was definitely fine. But now that I've been working on it, it's gotten a lot slower, and it also doesn't make sense for me to work on it anymore because I have a built PC. But now that I have a PC, I no longer have Final Cut Pro, and so I had to come up with an alternative option until I get my hands on another MacBook product. Since I'm waiting for either a MacBook sale to happen or for me to just wait next year to get the new MacBook Pro, I've been looking into different alternatives for video software to upload these videos. And so I initially came up with three options that I would take into consideration. The first is obviously Premiere Pro, which is like this golden standard. Most YouTubers use it, and it's super comparable to Final Cut Pro. The second one was Adobe Rush, which I'll talk about later, and it's kind of like a shittier version of Premiere Pro, but it's a lot cheaper as well. And lastly was the built-in Windows video editor. It's free, it comes with Windows, and because I already have a PC, I can just run it instantly and just make a video. So these were my three alternatives that I was looking into. The first one, which was Premiere Pro, I eliminated because of this reason. So Premiere Pro is $36 a month if you're doing a monthly subscription. Obviously, you'll get a cheaper price if you do yearly, but I didn't want to get kind of locked into that contract. Say in the worst case, I were to wait a year to buy a new Apple product, I would be spending 36 times 12, which is about $430. And that's a lot of money for just a yearly subscription. In my brain, it also doesn't make sense to spend that type of money because I already have Final Cut Pro purchased on my iCloud. And so if I were to buy a new MacBook product, I would get Final Cut Pro for free. It's just a one-time buy. I don't think it makes much sense for me to purchase a comparable software to Final Cut Pro if $430 is literally a third of a new MacBook Pro right now. It just doesn't make financial sense to me, and so that's why I've eliminated it completely. So that leaves me with two options, which is the built-in Windows video editor as well as Adobe Rush. Okay, so this is Windows Video Editor. The first thing you'll notice is the layout. So let's describe the layout. The first thing is this project library. This is where you just, add certain videos or images from your PC and it'll get placed here. This is obviously a collection of clips that's in my storyboard. And lastly, here is the storyboard where you drag some of these clips from your project library into here and, it just appends it. So I guess we're going to discuss some of the features in why you would use Windows Video Editor. And then we're also going to discuss some of the cons of why I don't use this program. So the first reason why I would use this program is based off the simplicity of kind of the UI UX, and just the learning curve of this program is very, very small. Like there's just simple menus. There's only like 10 specific things you can do here. If you want to kind of like add background music and kind of finish off the video, you click these buttons here. And other than that, it's just a drag and drop kind of system. Some of the features that I do like are kind of just these like simple text. You can add text to your video. One downfall about this though is there's only specific layouts in which you can move your text around. And that's quite limiting. If I wanted to put my text here, I can't do that. Another thing I like is it's really easy to add these title cards. All it is add title card. You set your duration. I usually set to like 3 seconds. And then all you have to do is, again, add your text and just place it where you want to. You can also change your background, change different colors, which is pretty unique. So again, like the UI is really simple and intuitive, and literally a 5-year-old can learn this. So I think those were pretty much most of the pros. In terms of the cons though, there's quite a few, especially if you want to use this software to make kind of mid-level complexity videos on YouTube. So I think the biggest gripe I have about this program is the trimming kind of setup. So for example, there are times where I filmed a 2-minute 22-second video, and a lot of times like I don't speak perfectly, right? Like nobody does, and I want to get rid of, I don't want there to be much like white space. Like I want there to be as minimal white space as possible, meaning like nothing's happening on the screen and I'm not talking. And so in order to like trim this into proper videos, here is what the trimming looks like. So first off, the biggest thing I hate is that there's no audio waves. And so a lot of times you can know when you stop talking in a video by just looking at the audio waves and seeing if the audio waves are like blank pretty much. But for this, I have to scroll through the whole entire video, see what I'm saying at certain times, and then trim where I want to be. In terms of the trimming, it's also super imprecise. Like if I want to trim like maybe half a second after this, I'd have to do some type of math to figure out where that is from the actual marker, and then it will automatically trim to where I want it to go. So it's a lot of manual work, honestly, and as you can see, like sometimes the slider is sticky and it wants to stick to this where it's placed, and so that's quite annoying, and it's definitely pretty imprecise. Another thing about this trimming technique is that if this video has 4 different clips I want to take out of, I have to do this process over and over again. So for example, say this is a clip I want. I press done. Now this has 14 seconds. I'd have to drag the same clip I used in my project library, use trim, and then re-find where I want to trim like this. So say this is my second clip, right? And so press done. So I have to keep track which clip I'm editing, and then again, like I'd have to find it, and it's really just super time consuming. On the other hand, there is this split tool which allows you to split certain clips. Again, it's very limited in that you can only split 2 clips. So if I want to make 4 clips out of this 2-minute recorded video, I can't do that. Like I have to clip it twice, trim it down to exactly where I want it to trim, and it's just really time consuming if you have a lot of cutting in your video. So that is the biggest gripe. Another gripe I have is that even though this like one swim lane, which is like this storyboard, is simplistic, it's also very limited. If I wanted to add some type of like chroma key or some type of overlay, like you can in Final Cut Pro, you can't do that here. And so this leads me to having very simplistic videos and nothing really too fancy. So this is Adobe Rush, and as you can see, it's probably pretty similar to Windows Video Editor. You have this storyboard at the bottom, just like Video Editor, where you can just drag clips. You can access your media through this like menu where you can just again drag stuff. Like Windows Editor, there's this playback where you can just play back some of the clips you have placed on your storyboard. So if you have used Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, this kind of storyboard looks pretty familiar. You have these 3 swim lanes for placing clips down, placing like just graphics down, and then you have 3 additional swim lanes for just audio. So Rush comes with a free basic version as well as a paid $10 a month version. If you go to specific tools, you can see these stars, and these are only accessible for the paid $10 a month version. So if you go to things like audio, there's this auto volume, balance sound, reduce background noise. That's only accessible to the paid version. If you go to graphics, there are also these paid titles. Other than that, I believe you get special access to the cloud. I think you can sync across mobile and desktop because they also have a Rush mobile app. And I think you get like 100 gigs of cloud storage, which is pretty good. Just like Windows Editor, let's talk about some of the pros and cons of using this program. In the Windows Editor, I talked about the slicing tool that was like really poorly done. As you can see here, you can expand audio to see your waves. So like for me, like I've cut these down to have minimal white noise, And so that's just a beautiful, and that's just a beautiful thing. So if we were to take a very long clip, which I've done here, all you have to do to splice is use this, I guess, split tool, which has a hotkey of S. So it's just really easy to just quickly splice and cut up your video and just delete all the empty spaces. So it's very easy to cut your video very quickly. Another benefit is that there are 3 different swim lanes, and it's a lot more kind of complex than your Windows video editor. As you can see here, I have just plopped over a title as well as just an image, and these take precedent over this kind of main timeline. So having more than one swim lane is useful because of the fact that you can just drag and drop stuff and really quickly place things to where you want it to be. So for example, like if I want to place a title at this exact moment, instead of cropping this at the exact place, inserting a title, and just dealing with a lot of work, you can just literally just drag something over it and voila, we have a title. So once again, it's about efficiency, and saving a couple clicks goes a long way, especially when you have a 20-minute video. Another reason why I like Premiere Rush is that there's some pretty useful tools that are very easy to access. Like if I just want to duplicate the title and drag it here, all I have to do is press one button and just drag this to another portion on the video. So now for the cons of Rush, there are a couple of cons in which why I don't like to use this program. They're definitely less annoying than Video Editor, but let me just discuss some of these cons. So the first con I have is that even though there's 3 swim lanes, which might seem a lot, 3 swim lanes in my opinion is still not enough. I need at least like 5 swim lanes just to cover every single case. But the biggest thing is that you can't add swim lanes and you're limited to 3 and 3 only. There are times where I already have 3 different things on the swim lane and I want to add more, but it's not easy to. So in these cases, I usually have to just like split this clip above it, replace it to this exact timeline, and then just move everything down, which is just quite annoying, instead of just adding another kind of swim lane. These cases are somewhat rare, maybe happen once every 2 or 3 videos, so it does get quite annoying, but it's manageable. Another thing that just gets on my nerves is that so I use the spacebar, which is a shortcut to kind of pause and play the video, right? But there are times when I want to play a video, but I am selected on a title, and it will simply just erase my title when pressing the spacebar because it thinks I'm editing it. And this happens so many times inadvertently. And when I'm looking back at the video, sometimes I just see like blank titles. I'm like, what happened with that? And it's because there's this like bug where if you're on a title and you use a shortcut to put play or pause, it literally just overwrites it because it's expecting you to edit the title. And that is so fucking annoying. And that happens a lot of times. So the last con that I have is this swim lane feature. So if you don't know, this first swim lane is like the main swim lane, and it's actually different from these other 2 swim lanes. So this first swim lane is sticky. So say I want to add another title, right? It will always stick to the last thing on this timeline, whereas these other 2s, I can place this anywhere. So even if I want to place this title at 14 minutes and 15 seconds, I can't do that. Overall, I prefer to go back to Final Cut Pro, but I am just waiting it out. But for now, I'm going to keep using Adobe Rush just because of the simplicity of the application and because there's little quirks that are less annoying than Video Editor. Like I said in the video, for the everyday use, Premiere Rush or even Windows Video Editor can do most of the stuff if you're doing very simplistic, just shooting and editing. I think my production value has definitely gone down from using these videos, but it is what it is. It's only temporary, and I would rather stay with consistency over production value. Have any of you also used Adobe Rush, and do you find the same flaws that I find as well? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Peace.